Hi, I'm Grishma Kuttar, and you're listening to episode 15 of Mission Manipur, a frontline podcast that looks in detail at the Manipur conflict. This episode is titled Since Tronglaobi. It was actually not surprising that 2026 began in Manipur with a lot of damage control activity. The BJP was very keen on ensuring that president's rule ends one way or the other, since they had major elections scheduled in the country. The background work for this was done towards the end of 2025 itself, with many senior leaders from BL Santosh to the RSS chief Mohan Bhagwat himself visiting Manipur. By the end of January, it was clear that Manipur is definitely getting a new chief minister. The Modi government just couldn't afford to keep the state on the standby position that it had left it at. After much lobbying, Unam Khemchand took oath as the Chief Minister of Manipur in February. Nemcha Kipgen, a Kuki BJP leader, was announced as the Deputy Chief Minister. She is also the wife of Thangboi Kipgen, the chief of the insurgent group KNF, which is short for Kuki National Front. Losi Dikho, a BJP leader from the Mao Naga tribe, was also announced as a Deputy Chief Minister. It was clear that the BJP was trying hard to pacify everybody, and in spite of different forms of opposition from all communities, a government was reinstated with Unam Khemchand as the Chief Minister. This also happened to be a demand from Imphal, where Meitei groups were dead against president's rule and wanted a popular government, that is, from the state itself, to govern it. In the Kuki Zone districts, though, there was an opposition to any form of government, as their demand has been for a separate administration from the time the ethnic violence began in May of 2023. From February, the new BJP government in Manipur started all kinds of PR activities. In the background of this, another violence started between the Kukis and Tangkhuls in Ukhrul after what has been called a drunken brawl. This has now escalated into a full-blown tussle between the insurgent groups of both the communities. Just last week, 2 Nagas were killed in an ambush in the same area. Though this Naga-Kuki conflict has continued in different forms since February, activities of CM Khemchand and his attempts to show some form of normalcy in Manipur took center stage. But all of this changed on the 7th of April. A bomb explosion in a village called Tronglaobi in Bishnupur district killed 5-year-old Tomthin Oinam and 5-month-old Oinam Leisana. Oinam Binita, their mother, was also severely injured in the explosion. Now, Bishnupur, where Tronglaobi is a predominantly Meitei district bordering the Kuki district of Churchandpur. The village itself is just a few kilometers away from the border of these two districts. Many camps of the security forces line the border, and there were at least 2 camps in the vicinity of the explosion. This angered locals even more, since many of them had just started returning home from relief camps that they were staying at. The explosion reignited the trauma that the area has been living with since 2023, and this set off a chain of protests that Imphal Valley is still reeling under. The killing of Tomthin and Leisana has now become a focal point of protests, blockades and bunds that are being observed across different valley districts in Manipur. While this happens, the government under CM Khemchand is trying hard to pretend like they've got it under control. The truth is, though, there is hardly any emphasis on the realities that are facing the people who live in periphery villages like Tronglaobi. Here is what M. Johnson, who is a PG student from Tronglaobi, had to say.
The Bali people, we are surrounded by the hills, and everywhere, if we want to move to some areas, there is also restriction of movements happening. Restriction of movements are there, so we cannot move freely actually.
So all the paddy fields that are there here, are you able to...
No, we cannot able to cultivate it. Beyond 200 meters, they cannot cultivate even now. So there are also lots of how to say
danger?
Because it's valley area, village areas. We mostly depends on agriculture, na? So there is,
So, and from next month, I think is sowing season, right?
yeah,
So because of
it's
this,
already started. It will be started around March only. Just started plowing and sowing and all.
so now because of this, cultivation also
Yeah.
become finished.
So what we really said is that the problem that we face here, villagers staying around here, is that since we are staying in buffer zone areas, actually most of our land was also on the hillside. Also, we cannot go and cultivate there. As well as there is a hardship of movement,
Restriction of
restriction of movement. As well as we cannot the place where I stay is not calm and peace and all, because since the new governments are formed, BJP government and formed recently. So after the 2 years president rule, so even till they have give the assurance that they will bring back peace, but we do not believe on them. Like since the incidents are not happening only once, it happened repeatedly, consequently, repeatedly. This is what we want. The culprit, those people who are involved on such incidents, the government. I know, we already know that the intelligence of India is so high. It is a superpower nation in the world. So in such a silly things, how long they will take to bring that solution and bring the culprit, the one who involved in such attacks. That's what I feel.
The main cause of distrust against Khemchand's government, like Johnson said, is that they are yet to arrest those who are involved in the explosion at Tronglaobi. To add to this, on the same day as the explosion, 3 people were shot dead when a mob tried to storm into a camp of the CRPF. When I visited the camp, I saw that most of the camp had been burnt down. The armory within the camp had boxes scattered all over. And what the CRPF personnel alleged is that this was the reason they had to open fire. They showed me some videos where the mob is seen beating up some of the CRPF sepoys. Now, the camp itself only had about 80 men, and they were no match for the strength of the mob that had descended on the camp. These killings by the CRPF instantly created a clear divide within Imphal, with people in the valley deciding to no longer cooperate with central security forces. This also set off another chain of protests and reactions, leading to only more violence in the days to come. Some people within the government, like the Home Minister, Govinda Singh, tried to make it seem like they are making progress in the investigations with the arrest of a few cadre from the insurgent group called UKNA, which is short for United Kuki National Army. But there has been no clear statement about their role from the Manipur police or the NIA, who are now in charge of the investigation. Immediately after the killings and the violence that followed, internet was immediately cut off and the valley districts came under curfew. And this curfew is only relaxed from time to time. The government said that this has to be in place because of disinformation and hate speech that was and can spread through internet. In spite of this, many groups organized rallies and protests condemning what happened in Tronglaobi. In one such rally, here is what Laina, one of the organizers, had to say.
We just want to convey, like, we just want to give we just want to express our feeling, like something should be done. This, it was almost like peace was almost restored. We had been convinced by the government that peace is almost restored, and it's about to be restored, and everything is going to be normal. So in the coming year, we have some crime and chaos had been restored mostly. But all of a sudden, the thing took place on 8th, in the early morning of 8th at Tronglaobi. In the family, they were sleeping. The children, their mom, that's sleeping. thinking that peace was already restored by the government and everything like that. But that happened. So we, the people of Uripok, through the particular organization, Uripok Punbalu, we want to voice that something should be done. An inquiry should be done against this particular killing, the innocent killing of this innocent lives. So we are just protesting for a judgment against this innocent lives, killing of the innocent lives.
Okay. Ma'am, the last 2.5, 3 years, almost, it's going to be 3 years in May.
24, 25, 20, yeah, it's going to
It'll be 3 years in May. So for the last, since the president's rule started here, no, there has been this request that our government should be restored, there shouldn't be president's rule. And that government was restored in Jan. After that, like you said, there has been this whole feeling that, okay, maybe things are going to return to normal. But after this, do you still, what is your opinion on the present government? Do you feel like they're doing what they can do? Is it beyond their control?
As I have mentioned earlier, after the arrival of this new government, we are with great hope. We are with great, everything, every area, lives were almost normalized. School, colleges, markets, shops, everything was running so smoothly. Since the middle of the 2025 and the beginning of 26, everything looks quite normal. And as a common person, as a common public, we have been with the view that something is going on carried out by the government, that peace will be restored very soon. We were with a hope with that, because we go through newspapers, we go through social medias, and like the new chief minister is coming up with lots of promises, and we are seeing like lots of new projects coming up. There's concreting the roads and all everything. So we common public, we are in a hope that everything is going to be normalized. Talks are going on with the other group of people and all sort of things. So we were with a great hope. So we were almost shocked that all of a sudden that took place, because we never knew that those things of the May things will be arising about, because I think everything was normalized with the new chief minister and with the new government. But that really shocked us. The early morning of that, it really shocked us.
So basically, after this incident, it feels like there's been a return to reversal of the processes that this government had government had put together, right? But within a few days, the CM traveled through Kangpopi to Senapati. This region, which is basically where it's a majority Kuki region, it has been inaccessible for Meiteis, is what it has been told for a long time, right? And this is the first time that in the last 3 years, somebody from the government has traveled through that route and also met an MLA in Kangpopi. Yes. So how do you look at this development?
Yeah, that was what I mentioned earlier. We were reading all this. We were reading all this on newspapers and TV channels and all, that our chief minister is traveling on the highways. That even the chief minister, a few days back, I don't even mention the date particular. It was some few days back. It was mentioned in the newspaper, like the chief minister was telling the public, you can travel in the highways. It's open for everyone. Sure, we even questioned him. We even questioned him through the social media. Like, Chief Minister, sir, you can travel freely, but can you secure our life that we can travel? Say, for example, the flight fares are too high here in Imphal to Guwahati. So many from here are studying in Guwahati. So the flight fares are too high. So we are so happy to hear that the highways will be open soon for the public. That was what few months we were so happy after the arrival of the chief minister and his promises, like the highways will be open, it will be free for all the publics and all. And he start traveling to the places more inhabited with cookies and all. There was soft talks with them. So we were so much overwhelmed. We were so much appreciating his work. But all of a sudden this happened. So we lost all our hopes, and everything seems reversed to the 2023 3rd May. Everything is becoming the same thing.
Right. So now, how do you look at this government, ma'am, and their efforts, whatever efforts it is?
As to say, we see the government as a puppet thing. The government as a person. We don't see the CM as it may be Khemchand, it may be Biren, it may be X, it may be Y. We don't see him as a person. We see him something like a puppet.
Of the BJP?
Something like a puppet means the chief minister, if he is a Meitei or he is a Manipur, he should feel our vibes. He should feel our vibes and he should do according to his feelings. But more of that, he is doing what has been commanded from there. So he
From
seem-
Delhi.
Yeah. So he must be loving more of his people. He must be voice. He must make voice to the center. But instead, he is doing what they have been ordered to do. It seems. I'm not saying it exactly that's happening, but the way he is acting seems like he is more of a kind of a puppet. So something like we was thinking that how is the chief minister chosen? How is he chosen? How is he not chosen? So it must be like he will be a better puppet. So he must have been chosen.
So,
That's our viewpoint.
so right now, are you saying that the confidence or the trust that you had in this government is lost?
Yeah, it's totally lost. Totally lost.
And what are the people, what are the common demands across areas?
And in addition to that, okay, that incident happened. That incident of the 8th early morning happened. It's okay. But after that, obviously the public will rebel. The public protested. But why did they shot to the normal, the innocent public again back? Because
I mean,
this same thing happened at place in Chirachandpur also, but they did not fire back. But here,
the statement of the CRPF has been that the people tried looting the armory. The armory.
but sometimes, okay.
There was anger.
Yeah, there was anger everywhere. But sometimes it seemed that discrimination is somewhere there. Discrimination is always there. And the cookies. Yeah, treatment is always bias. It's always discrimination is over there.
Okay. Finally, what are the demands right now? Like from your protest also, what is your demand?
Particularly for today's protest, it's only the this inquiry over this firing, the bomb, who has done that, and the motives and all. Just the judicial inquiry for right at the moment.
Yeah.
Our demands are many. It's a very long list, but for today, it's just a judicial inquiry. Of the two innocent.
This handover to the NIA is not something that you all are convinced with. You also want a judicial
Yeah, judicial inquiry.
As these rallies were happening, CM Khemchand tried his best to downplay the violence. Within days, he travelled through the Kuki dominant district of Kangpopi, and he happens to be the first Meitei leader to do so since the violence started in 2023. But in spite of whatever CM Khemchand did, these rallies continued. And these rallies remained largely peaceful till the 14th of April. Now on the 14th of April, an altercation happened in Moirang between locals and the security forces. I had travelled through Moirang actually on the same day towards the border villages that lie between Bishnupur and Chirachandpur to do a story on the lack of access to medical facilities during blockades such as the one that is in place right now. So after reporting and speaking to the people there, as I was returning from that area at around 2 p.m, I noticed that the number of women on the highway had substantially increased at the Moirang junction. Now, I had passed this junction when I was going towards the border in the morning, and these women were there alongside the barricades. They had checked my ID and they had let me pass, but the number of the women at these barricades was lesser. But when I came back, there were many more women and they all seemed like super agitated. I passed the junction, I went a little ahead, and I noticed that a convoy of the Rapid Action Force that was proceeding in the direction of Imphal. There were a lot of people on the streets in and around Naransena, which is a little ahead, and they were calling more people onto the street to block the RAF. And when I asked them what was happening, there was no one clear answer. But I just assumed that they're stopping the movement of security forces, as it usually happens during these periods of violence, unrest or blockades. And I passed the RAF convoy and I reached Fubala, where the mob was just much larger in size. So as soon as I reached Fubala, just a little ahead, I noticed that there was a vehicle on my left that had been set on fire. I went a little more ahead and I told the driver of my cab to park, and I got out of the vehicle at this place called Tinongai. Even there, though the mob was like bigger, they didn't have like any answer about what was happening, though all of them seemed like agitated and irritated, but they weren't really saying what was happening. So I approached a police convoy that I spotted that was parked on the same road, and I spotted somebody who was an MPS officer, and I asked him what was happening. Now he also did not answer any of my questions. So I just was standing there and wondering what was happening when I turned around and saw that there was this white car that was driving towards us. By us, I mean I was standing there, the mob, a part of the mob was there. So this white car was just speeding towards us, and it just stopped a few meters away from me. And there were people who were chasing this car and like throwing rocks at it, rocks or whatever it is that they had, they were throwing stuff at the car. By the time the car reached next to me, the windows of the car had already been smashed in. So when I just looked inside, I saw 3 people in the back seat, and 2 of them had rifles with them. As soon as this car stopped and the mob surrounded the car, the driver jumped out and I could tell that he was Pangal. The others were also stepping out, and the only person that I could spot from the place that I was standing was this one guy who I could tell wasn't from Manipur from his accent, because as soon as he came out, he tried speaking to the people who had, who by then were hitting the car, were jumping on the bonnet, and he tried telling them that he is from the security forces, but people weren't listening, and there was so much of a commotion that the only thing that I could see that he had, because he was in civilian clothes, but he had a walkie-talkie in his hand. And when I looked at him, I thought that he was CRPF. And instantly I was like, okay, this guy must be CRPF, because RAF was a little ahead, police were there. So I just thought that this car probably had CRPF, but then they were in civilian clothes as well. So I was a little confused. By then the mob had started ripping apart the car, just like the car that was on fire. It felt like they were readying this car to set it on fire. So all of this was happening, and then I was looking towards the police, hoping that they would come and like do something about the situation. But then there was some people from the mob went and spoke to the police, and the police just left. And then by then the size of the mob had grown, and I wanted to walk away from there, but I turned away. Couldn't see my cab, but I obviously started walking away. And everybody who had come out of the car had fled except this one guy that I had spotted, who was in this greenish bluish t-shirt. And the mob had caught hold of him, and they were like beating him brutally. They were pulling him this side and that side. When he was trying to run, they kept yanking him. They were hitting him with sticks that I could see. But I had started walking away. While I was walking away, I also happened to have my dictaphone, which was recording everything that happened as it happened. So I'm just going to play back whatever happened from this point. सर ऐसे भाग रहे हैं आप सर आप एक ऑफिसर को मार रहे हैं वहाँ पे सीआरपीएफ आप लोग कुछ नहीं कर रहे हैं इसको मार रहे हैं Sir, I'm from the media. I'm from the Hindu. So, you're from the AR? Yes. What about the other people in your car? कितने लोग हैं? 5
मारा छापने नहीं पत्थर किसके लिए मारा है नहीं पत्थर किसके लिए मारा है नहीं अरे उसको पत्थर मारा है तो उसको नहीं पूछेगा तो किसको पूछो पत्थर किसने मारा है पब्लिक ने किसके लिए मारा है अरे यार नहीं है उसको लग रहा है तो हम लोग पूछने चाहिए ना
सर आप थोड़ा बोलेंगे सर कैन यू टेल मी व्हाट हैपेंड इन योर स्ट्राइक
राइट सर नहीं मैं पूछ रहा है ना बहन नहीं सीरियस हो रहा है उसको पूछने का क्यों नहीं चिल्लाएगा
हमसे क्यों बात कर रहे
तो अरे उसको लग रहा है तो जवाब दे दो क्या हुआ नहीं क्यों मारा है वो तो वही बता जानेगा नहीं किसी को तो पूछने में मारने का हक नहीं है
सर कैन यू टेल मी व्हाट हैपेंड जस्ट व्हाट हैपेंड
Let's hear what Kari no mo tham jab ma khai kari
and sir tell me quickly are you okay do you need some water you want some water
भाई आप बोला था ना आपसे पूछने का जरूरी नहीं है तो आप साइड में जाइए जो लगा है उससे हम लोग बात करेगा सच्ची बहन का तरफ माँ कसम पूछ रहा हूँ
please don't talk to me
प्लीज वो नहीं बोल रहा हूँ उसके लिए जमींदार दे लेगा आप साइड में जाओ तो क्या हो गया kamu ay ka try mana bai ka tra nang du khat thokat diyo ko
so you want some water sir you want some water
why the cookies are roaming around here and there I don't know हम लोग what is the problem I don't know what is wrong with people why you are involving here we are also why you are involving here that's good then we are more Indians than you okay that's good that's fine yeah I don't want to. उसके लिए तो हमें पूछ रहे ना इसके लिए क्यों मारा people I can smell alcohol sorry no alcohol what are you people doing I don't know
नहीं दारू पी के आए स्मेल आ रहा है उसका
चला के क्यों आया
गाड़ी चला के क्यों आया वो
पास कर रही थी तो अब देखा मैंने
तो आप लोग
किसने मारा है
व्हाई यू आर बिकमिंग कम्युनिकेटर्स ऑफ दोस
किस लिए वही पूछ रहा हूँ
मतलब
किसने मारा है
आपने
थोड़ा गलती किया होगा ना इसलिए मारा है ना मतलब क्या कर रहा है उधर से आ रहा है क्या किससे आ रहा है I don't know why these people are carrying cookie people I don't know
आप लोग क्यों चाहते हो वही बोल रहा हूँ
why they broke the vehicle and burned the vehicle then
what's happening
then ask him yeah
you
then
are
ask him he have to answer it
you are the black sheep
you were driving the vehicle
you are the black sheep yes you are the black
then
sheep
who was carrying the cookie people ये देख इतना आदमी उसके पास हथियार है क्या अभी मारने के लिए तो आप एक मिनट भी नहीं लगेगा हम लोग ईमानदार से पूछ रहा हूँ किसके लिए आपको मारा है गलत मारा गलत किस नहीं गलत किस आपने जो निकाला है वो गलत मारा है अभी गलत से मारा है वो नहीं आपने कुछ गलती किया होगा उसके लिए मारा होगा शामपुर में जाता ना वो मार देते हम लोग मालूम है आपको मालूम है दिस पर्सन वाज केयरिंग टू किल पीपल अरे यार क्या चला क्या है
हम लोग उसको पकड़ रहे हैं हमारा जान का खतरा है कि नहीं खतरा है ना हमारा जान का
कौन सा
खतरा है ना
क्या गलती किया है
पुलिस का लोग Now that you all have heard that clip, the background to what happened and the background to this entire confusion is that less than a kilometer away from Tinongai at this place called Ningthau, some individuals who were part of the group that was blocking the highway had stopped the white car. The woman at the blockade had instantly made this allegation that cookies were traveling in the car. Now the car itself, it had tinted glasses, so till the windows were smashed, you can't see who is inside the car that clearly. There was this video that eventually became viral. It kind of explained what happened at that junction and why people were alleging that there were cookies traveling in that car. Now, even though internet is suspended, this video was in circulation within hours of this incident. And in that video, this white car is visible. The woman is screaming that there are cookies. And as some men approach the car speeds away. So this is the background to why it is, where this car came from and why it was attacked and why there was so much of suspicion around this car. As soon as this video went viral on social media, a lot of Meiteis alleged that the security forces are helping cookies travel through the valley districts. This is the reason why they had attacked the CRPF camps as well on the day of the explosion, because they kept saying that, and these are people that I spoke to as well, they kept saying that the CRPF is protecting the people behind the explosion who they thought or they believe are Kuki militants. So this was the reason why they had attacked the CRPF, and this suspicion continued when with this vehicle, and that even when the officer tried to say that he is Assam Rifles or he is from the forces, the people kept saying that y'all are taking cookies. So that's the background to why it is that they were saying that and why they were suspicious. Many cookies, on the other hand, they actually also bought into the rumor, and they were like, if y'all referring to assuming that there were cookies in the car, they were like, if those people in fact wanted to travel through the valley, then we'll just wash our hands off of them. Because in spite of us being against going into the valley, these people went, so might as well die. These were some of the statements that were being made by cookies. But the truth is that there were no cookies in the car because within a few hours of this incident happening, the Manipur police made a statement saying that there was a drug bust that had happened earlier in the day at the Imphal airport, and a group of security forces based on a tip-off were on their way to Kwakta. So both the cars that were burnt actually had people from different forces. They had Assam Rifles personnel, they had also people from other central security forces who are on their way because there was a cache of drugs and ammunition and weapons in Kwakta. So the Manipur police made this statement and clarified that this was in fact what happened. And eventually the next day, which is on the 15th of April, the Home Minister Govindas himself also said that whatever happened at Tinongai was because of a misunderstanding between security forces and locals. But while this clarification came the next day, on the day of the incident itself, there was a full-blown clash between the mob that had assembled there and kept assembling there and the security forces who went there to dismantle or to, get people to go away from the highway. And this clash led to more than 30 people being seriously wounded and hospitalized. So this altercation, the whole reason behind it was misinformation, and that spiraled into full-fledged antagonism between people in Imphal and the security forces. So from the explosion date to April 14th and this incident, antagonism just kept growing. So from the next day, that is the 15th of April, till now, rallies are being organized more aggressively every other day, where more such clashes between people, which is the protesters, and the security forces are taking place. With each day, the security forces are also showing more aggression, injuring many protesters or almost every protest. People on their part are also not backing down, and they are organizing bigger and bigger rallies in spite of the curfew that is in place. Now, the police on their part are alleging that there are many miscreants among the mobs who are instigating violence, and that these people are using petrol bombs and they are using weapons like sticks and whatever it is that they're using to instigate violence. And they've been arresting people during these protests. Also, for the first time, a member of the Arambai Tangkhul, who is known for sharing hate speech, specifically has been arrested because of this thing of, of sharing hate speech and polarizing narratives. But the people that I spoke to in Imphal also told me that the Arambai Tangkhul has been actively mobilizing around the killings in Tronglaobi, repeatedly also using the same narratives that they have steered in the past. This is a little confusing because security forces have told me before that there's no AT unit which is functional anymore. It's also confusing because the CM right now, which is CM Khemchand, is saying that people should move away from polarizing narratives and people should move towards the path of peace. And he's been urging both Meiteis and Kukis to do that. While the Arambai, which is backed by other BJP leaders like Biren and MP Sanojoba, are doing the complete opposite. According to the security forces that I spoke to and some others also, civilians, they are saying that they are steering a campaign against peace while the CM is steering a campaign for peace. So this is also something that's happening in Imphal while these protests and rallies happen, seeking justice for the victims of Tronglaobi. So right now the reality is that Manipur is under a complete bandh, the valley area especially, and this bandh is a collective call by civil society organizations from the valley. CM Khemchand again is going about doing everything to pretend like it's a normal day in Manipur, but it isn't. The BJP and the central leadership of BJP haven't said much about what's happening in Manipur right now, and they're completely focused on elections in the rest of the country, like they were 3 years back when the whole conflict started in 2023.